This is how to crochet the Tunisian stitch part 1. For this swatch, I'm starting with 20 chains and I'm going to rotate my chain so that I can see the back loops. Then I'm going to skip the first loop and work into the second, and I'm going to insert my hook from the bottom up, and then I'm going to yarn over and pull up a loop. I'm going to leave that new loop on the hook, insert my hook into the next chain, yarn over and pull up another loop. I'm going to repeat that all the way until the end. As a quick little tip, I like to hold my left middle finger behind the chain and then my left thumb on top of the chain, and then I use my right thumb to guide the hook through the loops of the chain without splitting the yarn. In Tunisian crochet, it's also important that you keep these loops on the hook as loose as possible. If you find that they are too tight, you can always go up a size. It's usually recommended to go up 2, maybe even 3 sizes if your work starts to curl. And I'll go more into detail on how to resolve the curling issue, but for now I just want you to focus on pulling up even loops all the way across. So now that we have all the loops on the hook, we're going to yarn over and pull through 2. So pull through 2, and then yarn over again, and pull through 2. What helps me is when I use my left middle finger and thumb to pinch the chain right underneath the loops that I'm going to pull through. And we're going to do that all the way until the end. And then I will see you in part 2 for the next row. If you have any questions about this stitch, please let me know. I am also working on another tutorial that uses the entrelac version that I have posted on my page as well. So be sure to like and follow. This is how to crochet the Tunisian stitch part 2. We are on row 2, and instead of working into the back loop of the chain, we are going to work into each one of these vertical loops going across the front. So this is technically considered the Tunisian single stitch. Just like with crochet, you can add half, double, and double stitches and all that kind of stuff. You would just have to yarn over first, and then when you work your way back across, instead of yarning over and pulling through 2 like you would with a single crochet, you would yarn over and pull through 3 or pull through 2 twice, yada yada. If you want to see stitch tutorials on the other ones, I can do those as well. I love making stitch tutorials. Just let me know in the comments and I will get to them. But the number one complaint with Tunisian crochet is that it curls. And that was my complaint the first time I did it. I actually made that blanket I have on my page, and I decided to take my iron and iron out the curls, because the curls only last for like the first 5 to 10 rows, and then after that it's perfectly flat. So I thought, oh well, it must just be the stitch. But you cannot iron it out. I don't recommend it. I felted and matted the edges of my blanket and it looked weird, so don't do what I did. But if you do want to mitigate the curl, make the loops as big as possible. And if you're still having a problem with curling, go up 1 or 2 hook sizes, maybe even 3. If you're the kind of person who likes to pull their stitches tight after every single stitch, I would highly recommend going up 2 to 3 hook sizes, because pulling stitches tight is a habit for many crocheters, and trying to crochet loosely when you're used to crocheting tightly just isn't a thing for very many. You can also, if it still curls even though you've done all of these things, you can stretch it out, and that does help. So the reason it curls is because the loops that we pull up going from the right to the left are tighter than the yarn over and pull through 2 that we do when we're going from the left to the right. So when we're pulling up loops, we're working on the front side of the stitch, and then when we're pulling through, we're working on the back side of the stitch. If the back side is not as even in tension as the front side, then the front side is going to kind of cinch in, kind of like a snail house, I guess, and it's going to give you that curl. But be sure to like and follow. I post stitch tutorials every single day again, so happy hooking! This is how to finish the Tunisian stitch. So I'm going to insert my hook into the vertical line like I've been doing, but this time I'm going to slip stitch, meaning I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over, pull through the vertical loop and the loop on my hook. I'm going to do that all the way until the end, and then I'm going to chain one, cut my yarn, and finish off. I would say that this step is optional because your stitches aren't going to unravel if you don't do this, but it is going to give it an unfinished edge, and by doing this you are also making the top look just like the bottom. A last final word of caution is to keep your slip stitches loose, just like you've been keeping your loops loose, because if you don't, it'll cinch the top together and nobody likes that. Now, Tunisian crochet is just a name. There is no evidence to support that it originated from Northern Africa, although it very well could have. There are many more names for this stitch. The most common in the US is the Afghan stitch, but there are many more that are used all over Europe. And Tunisian crochet was first used in a French magazine in the 1800s, so it's not a new stitch either. You don't have to buy a fancy hook if you want to try Tunisian crochet. You can use a regular crochet hook. The only time you may want to upgrade is if you run out of space for your loops. Be sure to like and follow for more stitch tutorials.